Welcome back to my channel. If you are new, hit that subscribe button. We are going to be doing a giveaway once we hit 500, and we are only like a little more than 20 away from that. So that's super exciting. I do have a gift for a male or a female, depending on who wins my 500 mark giveaway. And then I have another giveaway I'm going to do once I hit 1,000, and I'm going to do that live. So, get into that by subscribing and making sure you look for the giveaway video and drop your comment when I tell you to and what to comment, and it's going to be great. So let's get on with chapter 19. In Letters from Christopher, it's Mama Beauty's here. And what the chapter says it's about is locating Shanann and the girls, but it seems to be more about that cockamamie story that he has given about how Shanann did it, and that is completely hogwash, and I'm not going to give any more light to that story because he's already admitted that that wasn't true, and so why repeat it? If you want to know what he said in his first confession, then just go ahead and watch those confessions on YouTube. That's where I watched them, so I invite you to go do that if you are interested in knowing what he originally said that Shanann did. But I'm not giving him any more credit to that because it was hogwash. And the chapter 19 starts out by saying that agents came back in the room, and that's when Ronnie said that he needed to use the restroom and contact his daughter, which we all know is Jamie Watts. And then Ronnie asked the agents if they knew where he could get a lawyer and anyone that was not a public defender. He was adamant about not wanting to get Chris a public defender. And the agent agreed to discuss that with him later. And the agent walked Ronnie out into the lobby and then returned to the room where Chris was. And then the agent brought in, when he came, that colored picture of the Survey 319 that the drone had taken of the site. And they showed it to Chris. And there was a little white image in the corner of this picture. And we all know that that was actually the sheet at the bottom. And the agent showed it to Chris and then asked him if that's where the girls were. And Chris, in turn, asked how old that picture was. And the agent told him that it had came from that day. Sorry, I have little hairs tickling my chin. Sorry. And then Chris pointed to the patch of unsettled dirt that was in the picture. And he said that that was where he had buried Shanann, that she was in that same location. And so the agent gave Chris a pen and told him to put an S, a B, and a C where each of the bodies were located. And Chris did that, and then he signed it at the bottom. Now, the agent asked if the girls were in the tanks, and Chris said yes. And the agents asked him what was in the tanks. And then that's when Chris said that it was oil and water. And then he asked Chris about the sheet. And he said that that was what he wrapped Shanann in. And then the agent asked Chris what the girls were wrapped in. And he said it was just their pajamas. And then they asked him about the stuffed animals and the blankets. And he said that he left it beside the sheet. And that was right near Shanann's grave. And that he had buried her in a t-shirt and underwear. And the agents asked if the baby monitor could possibly have recorded what he was saying. And he said no. And then the agents told him it was hard to believe that Shanann could do something like that. And Chris said that he knew. And the agents asked if it was possible that he killed all three girls. And if it was a possibility that they were going to find his fingerprints on the girl's neck. And Chris said, oh, Lord, no, no. And then the agents told him that they could compare the diameter of the finger marks on the neck. And he said that he understood. And then she asked, Tammy Lee, that agent, asked him if he agreed that it sounded pretty weird. And he said he understood. He knew where they were coming from. And then she told him that she hated for Shanann to get a bad rap for something that she didn't have anything to do with. And Chris said that he knew that it wouldn't be fair and just replied, I know. And she asked him if he wanted to tell the truth again, and Chris said he was telling the truth. And then she told him that she didn't think that he meant to hurt the girls. And then Chris said, I didn't hurt the girls. And then she told him that you didn't save them either. And he said, I know that. And the agent asked him if he was sure Shanann did not catch him in Celeste's room. And he said, no, God, no. And then the agent told him that he had found a new life and that they knew he wanted to get rid of his old one. And then the other agent said that he believed that Chris killed the girls before Shanann even got home from her trip. And he said no, and his voice started trailing off. And he said, this is the truth. And then the agent said that Shanann was a pretty good mom. And he in turn said back, Chris said, I was a pretty good dad as well. And then the agent asked how often those tanks were checked. And Chris said once a week. And the agents asked if he wanted someone to find them then, if they were being checked once a week. And then the agent told him that Shanann had been up purchasing hair products at 2:30 a.m. and that her card had declined. And now we all probably know now that this was, since she was in direct sales, there's another direct sale company called Monet that you can get on an auto payment system. And every month at a certain time in the middle of the night, they will charge your card for that month's hair care products. And the card declined. So she could have been sleeping. He could have already murdered her. She couldn't have been murdered yet. Who knows? But this could be an auto draft thing. It doesn't mean that Shanann was actually up using a card, ordering these products at 2:30 a.m. because there are such things as auto drafts. But the Chris says he wasn't aware of the purchase. And that's when the agent said, well, did Shanann get angry because there wasn't any money when she went to buy these products? And Chris again said that he wasn't aware of the purchase. And the agents asked what Nikki talked about with him the night before his wife came home. And he said they talked about their day and what they always do. And he said in this interview that she knew about the disappearances because of what she's seen on the news. And he also said that Nikki did not know his wife was pregnant and that she did now. And he said that he was afraid to tell her because he didn't think that she would go out on a date with him if she knew he was pregnant. And then she said he admits here that she knew he was married with kids. And the agent asked then Chris asked the agent if they were going to talk to Nikki. And the agent said yes. And then they asked him if Nikki was going to tell him that she knew what he was going to do to his wife. And he said no. And he said that the only thing she knew is that they were going to hang out more once he got his apartment. And then he said that she genuinely liked him. And he begged the agents not to put Nikki's name into the media, and that she had been through enough in life. I just can't believe that he says that. You know, she'd been through enough, whatever. What Shanann and the girls went through was beyond anything Nikki has ever went through. But the agents asked if he was sorry for what he did, and he said he wished he hadn't lost control. And Christopher apologized to both agents for lying. And then the agents asked if he was sure the girls would have hand marks on their necks and that they weren't smothered. And this is weird that Chris says this in his very first interview. He says they shouldn't have been smothered. No. He didn't give them a firm no, they weren't smothered. He said they shouldn't have been smothered. No. So I wonder if the police picked up on that when he said it. And he said, and Bella, I don't know, but Celeste, and that was just more of his hogwash story, so we're not going into that. And then the agent asked about the sheets in the trash. And he said that he used the sheet again to wrap up Shanann, and that he put the flat sheet and the pillowcases in the trash. And the agent asked him why he didn't hide the sheet. at the oil site. And he said he was so scared that his coworkers were on the way and that they would catch him. And then the agents told him that they took all the electronics from his house and that they needed to know the passwords. And then they allowed Ronnie in the room to say goodbye and to tell him, Christopher, goodbye. And then they drove Ronnie to a hotel that night. But when Ronnie came in the room to say goodbye to Christopher, he told him that they had taken the Lexus. And he said that other detectives were talking about how he had changed his story. And then Ronnie told him he loved him no matter what. And then Ronnie told him it was a problem that he didn't call the police, and Chris agreed. And Ronnie said that they would just have to prove it some other way. And he said to Chris, too bad the baby monitor didn't record. And he hugged Chris and left. And the agent asked Chris why he put the girls in the separate tanks. And again, he says he wasn't thinking and he didn't know what to do. I'm so tired of hearing him say that. But that's the end of that because I didn't give much light to the crazy story that Shanann did this because that was just inappropriate. So thank you. I'll be right back with chapter 20 as soon as this uploads. Bye.